Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. I felt like yesterday I should have used my Kyocera printer to print off big signs to put all over the studio that says, "Is the audio right?"
Yeah. It can't hurt just to have that sign in here.
Is the audio right?
Connected to Roadcaster?
Yes or no? Double check. Because yesterday, I had a day yesterday.
Yeah.
I was tired.
You did a lot of driving.
Probably having a sugar crash from all the chocolate that I ate in Hershey's Chocolate World, all the Reese's peanut butter cups. I came back with a tin of Reese's peanut butter covered pretzels. How long do you think that tin lasted in my house?
I was going to say, you could have bought me some, but that's fine.
I
don't need them. I don't need them.
Are you sure?
I don't.
Okay.
Clearly.
Clearly what you told me earlier about why you were awake. Yeah, you probably don't need them.
Don't need them.
No, you don't need them. No, so anyway, yesterday we essentially did the show 3 times.
Yeah, I think it was just an homage to your radio days. You're like, you know what I really fucking miss? I used to be on the air for 4 hours. So I had to heat up some takes 3 different times after the original take. Like this podcasting thing, it's too easy. And even though it was a Tuesday, it was more of like a Monday.
It was like a Monday.
So like you were really challenging the rule of anybody can podcast on a Monday.
Anybody can podcast on a Monday. Not anybody can go all throughout the offseason as a national title contender and then drop out of the AP Top 25 in record time. That would be Florida State. They are done in the AP Top 25 after starting the year off with losses to Georgia Tech and to Boston College. Look, Georgia clearly number 1. Ohio State, Texas, Alabama, Notre Dame 5. Cool. You can put those 4 schools in a blender. I do not care. Based on what we saw and what Georgia did to Clemson and where Kirby Smart has this program, they are head and shoulders above everybody else. I don't think that's a wild take.
No.
Okay.
Very, very sane.
After that, again, we get a bunch of teams in a blender. Ole Miss, Oregon, Penn State, Missouri, Michigan. Sure. If you say so, although you weren't necessarily keen on Oregon being in the top 10 after what you saw in the opening week.
No, I mean, they pulled an NC State and struggled with their 1AA opponent.
Mm-hmm.
And so I looked at, or I don't even know what Idaho is at this point. Pardon my ignorance here. Idaho's in the Big Sky. Yeah, they're 1AA team.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't like Oregon going into the year based on Dylan Gabriel being in his 20th college season. He was at Oklahoma, he was at Central Florida, and now he's at Oregon.
Miami's got a guy who's on his 9th year of college
and
football.
He caught a touchdown. Right. But I think we're going to see this a lot.
Yeah.
Right. Like we're going to see this a lot in basketball, like NC State. I'm thinking off the top of my head right now, not trying to make this about state, but like when you go and get guys from a portal, you think, oh, it's automatically going to work. Oh, I'm going to get a Jarkel Joyner. I'm guaranteed, oh, no, I'm going to go in and get a guy who's going to be a star for our team. DJ Horn, right? Like, no, Oregon went and got Bo Nix and really kind of resurrected his career and turned him into an NFL quarterback, right? Like, they're not just going to add Dylan Gabriel and be like, oh, yeah, see, we did the same thing with Bo Nix. He's going to be fine, So for them to score 24 points against Idaho, that's a red fucking flag, man.
That's fair.
And I get it. You got to put somebody somewhere. I'm not like trying to completely and totally to overreact to Oregon, but you will remember, I thought Oregon and Alabama were the 2 teams in the top 10 preseason who I was like, these are the ones I would be worried about because we know there's going to be a team that doesn't finish the season ranked.
Sure.
We know that. Well, Florida State just decided to give it away, though, by losing 2 games in the first 2 weeks. And I got bad news for FSU. They could lose. I mean, they have a week off, which they absolutely
really need that week off.
But they could lose to Memphis at home. Absolutely, their next home game. Then they get Cal. Then they go to SMU. Well, SMU's going to be fired up. Then they get Klemp. So, we'll see what Mike Norvell can do. Obviously, that's his old team. This is Memphis. This was part of him leaving Memphis. Was they were agreeing to play Memphis a couple times. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But yeah, I mean, Florida State. I mean, I think it was ESPN. And then they have to do it because they were still ranked. But it was like, oh, this is the first time, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, but they wouldn't have been ranked if the poll had come out before the Monday game like it normally does. Like, I think they would have dropped.
That's fair.
It was top 10. It was a stat about a top 10 win. And I was like, yeah, but they're not really a top 10.
Meanwhile, we've got Tennessee and NC State set up as a top 25 matchup still. Tennessee, I mean, they played Chattanooga. I mean, what are you going to do? NC State stays ranked despite the fact that they screwed around with Western Carolina at 24th, and they're 1 spot ahead of Clemson, still in the top 25 after they got crushed by Georgia. And I think that's actually kind of fair for, and by the way, Georgia Tech, shout out to you. 2-0 to start the season. You beat Florida State to start things off, and you are officially in the top 25. In the others receiving votes category, Boston College getting some votes after the win against Florida State. You're SMU with some votes as well. App State, as they get ready to take on Clemson this week, they got a couple of votes. But that's pretty much that. What were we going to say?
One thing I am happy about, my Syracuse Orange, not ranked.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, Georgia Tech's 5-0 against ranked ACC opponents, but not so good against unranked ACC opponents.
Sure.
So that makes me happy because that's a big game this week for my Orange.
How many teams do you have?
I got a lot.
You got your Stangs. You got your Orange.
Yeah, my SMU, my Orange.
The reason why I said it's fine that Clemson's still ranked after they got mushed by Georgia is because I don't classify what happened to Clemson in the same category as what's happened to Florida State to start the year. To get back to the start of the conversation about the top 25 and where Georgia is as a program, they figured things out in the first half and then put the hammer down once they figured that out. And all the issues that we understand about Clemson are still there. I get that, but are those issues going to get in the way of them competing in the ACC? And I think it's way too early to say after losing to Georgia in essentially a home game for the Bulldogs. So that being said, I am surprised, but not surprised that we've already entered into the ridiculous NCAA bracketology type discussions around the expanded college football playoff.
Why are you surprised? You got to pedal in hope. You got to pedal in.
No. That's not what I'm surprised by.
Okay.
What I'm surprised by is that we're already doing this to the ACC in terms of, are they a one bid conference? This is from Heather Dinich on ESPN and her CFP takeaway, because she's their CFP expert. Love Heather, longtime college football writer. Basically made her bones in the ACC. Great person. But I have a problem with what she wrote. The ACC might only have one playoff representative, and it could be Miami. Based on what?
I mean, brands.
But if it's about brands, then Clemson should still be in that conversation, and it shouldn't be just because they got crushed by Georgia. Georgia's going to crush a lot of fools this year, man.
Yeah, see the OG fans newsletter from yesterday.
Exactly. Yeah. There's your plug. So this is what she writes. It was a tough opening week for the ACC, with FSU already losing to Georgia Tech and now the shocking loss to Boston College. That's fair. Plus Clemson's lopsided loss to Georgia. Not fair. The ACC champion might be the league's home lone representative in a 12-team playoff. Winning the ACC is Florida State's only chance. Yeah, we get that. As the 5 highest ranked conference champions are guaranteed a bid. Even that's going to be difficult after an 0-2 start in conference play. The College Football Playoff Selection Committee will compare teams from the 7 at-large bids in the same way it did for the 4-team field. Who you beat matters, along with how you look while doing it. So far, nobody in the ACC besides Miami has looked the part of a CFP contender. The gap between Clemson and Georgia is wide, as the score indicated. The gap between Georgia and Clemson is as wide for a lot of other teams in college football. And how you look and how you win and who you beat, we still have 11 more weeks of this to go through. And Miami, while they did look the part, let's also understand, and I do think it's fair to criticize where Florida is as a program with Billy Napier. I mean, they essentially beat up on a carcass of a team that everybody's checked out on. And it's just a matter of time before Napier gets fired at this point. So let's see Miami back that up. Let's see Miami continue to do it. I would say the same thing about a lot of other teams. There's way too much football left to act as though there's outside forces that would create a situation where you're going to get 2 teams. The question about the ACC isn't whether or not they'll get 2 teams. The question is always going to be, will they get 3? That's harder to pull off. But 2 is still very attainable based on what we've seen after week 1.
Yeah, I think in the 12-team format, though, getting 2 is good.
Yes.
But I think it takes the right teams, right? Mm-hmm. So you either need to be the brand.
Sure.
Right? Which already you got 2 of the major brands in Florida State and Virginia Tech struggling.
Florida State's already out. The Virginia Tech thing, I'm glad you brought it up. I think at some point
Virginia Tech's more likely to win the ACC than they are to, because their schedule is so bad. So that gets me to the opportunity.
Okay.
Louisville and Georgia Tech both have a schedule, and I've been telling you this about Georgia Tech.
I know.
Okay, and I get it. Georgia Tech has a really, really hard schedule. But let's start with Louisville. Louisville plays Georgia Tech. Louisville plays Notre Dame. who's going to be a top 10 team when they play them. And then in the league, they play Miami and Clemson. And then outside the league, they close at Kentucky. Okay. Louisville is one of those teams that could go 9-3, 10-2, and make the college football playoff with the right combination of wins.
Sure.
Georgia, probably 10-2 in Louisville's case. Georgia Tech is a team that I believe can go 9-3 and make the college football playoff. Again, it's going to depend on the combination of those wins. Georgia Tech also ends up playing Notre Dame. They've already beaten Florida State. I mentioned they have the game with Syracuse this week. So they play Carolina, they play Louisville, they play Carolina, they play Notre Dame, they play Virginia Tech, they play Miami, they play State, they play Georgia.
Right.
Georgia Tech has about a harder schedule as an ACC team can have.
Which, if they pull it through, like, here's the question
Again,
about Georgia.
9-3 Georgia Tech. They don't get blown out by Georgia in the last game of the season. They don't play. They don't show up in the ACC championship game. They're 9-3.
So, okay, let's take Heather's point about it's who you beat. All right, this is where we're going to have the friction. Brand versus who you beat.
Right.
If Georgia Tech goes 9-3, they're not going to be considered because they are Georgia Tech. If it's another, let's say it's an SEC team that went 9-3,
which now you're talking about Kentucky, Tennessee, are prime candidates with their schedule.
How are they discussed?
I think they're in.
Right.
Particularly if Kentucky beats, irony alert, if Kentucky beats Louisville, Tennessee beats State, and they're 9-3.
So
guess what?
See, you figured it out.
But the other way,
there it is.
The other way doesn't matter.
You figured it out. All of a sudden, if you're in the ACC and you beat the tough teams, it doesn't count because, well, we think the ACC is bad.
Right.
We've decided it's bad based on the Virginia Tech thing. Real quick tangent on the Virginia Tech thing. I get that. This is what I was going to get at. There is going to be a reckoning with how we talk about these things and predictions. The only reason why Virginia Tech was considered a dark horse was because Pat McAfee got cute on College Game Day and put him in as the winner of the ACC. And why did he do that? Gambling.
Sure.
That's why.
Yeah.
Not because he thinks that Virginia Tech's actually good. He looked at Virginia Tech in the schedule and he saw value. That's all that is. That's two totally different ways of looking at the game. Not skill, not coaching, not what you got on the field. It's, what's good gambling value? That's BS when we talk about that stuff. So people pile on Virginia Tech of, how could you lose that game? It's because gamblers thought they could get some value out of it. That's why. So screw that. Now, back to your point about Kentucky beating these ACC schools.
Kentucky would get credit for beating Louisville. Tennessee will absolutely get credit for beating NC State, but not the other way.
Weird.
Because that's what we saw that last year with Florida State beat LSU.
Yes.
It became, now they're not Missouri. They're not Ole Miss. So never mind that they're Alabama or Georgia. So really, what was the quality of that win?
If you take anything from our podcast, the only thing the thing that we cannot stress enough
is pretty impressive galaxy brain right there that we just pulled off in real time.
But it's true though.
I know.
I want people to peep the game. Peep the game. If you get anything from this podcast, is that you guys will see the game and call it out. That's all I ask. That's all I ask.
Housekeeping.
And it's brought to you by Enovana. Check them out online at enovana.com. ENOVANA, Green Cleaning Solutions. You know what? I totally sold them short on that one. I think I was testing the Roadcaster and I didn't act. Let's try this again. Enovana.
If you have mess inside your mansion, trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
There we go. That's better. This is actually going to be a very jingle-heavy break because we are welcoming on as a new corporate champion. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to O2 Fitness. More than a gym. Are you ready for the jingle?
Hit me.
So much more than a gym.
I'm going to have to do it again because I was testing it. Let's get the full thing. It's just, I'm not doing this again. We're going live to tape today.
O2 Fitness. So much more than a gym.
It's the guitar strum at the end that gets me.
Bum, bum.
O2 Fitness. So much more than a gym.
Bum, bum. It's that. That's
Bum,
it.
bum.
That's what it is. It's going to be stuck in my head the rest of the day. I love that.
Stanza.
So O2 Fitness. Yes, it is more than a gym. Go to o2fitnessclubs.com to find out more.
Physical therapy, nutrition help, you name it.
They have Renew. They have Loop with the nutrition aspect of it. But here's the thing about, I'm going to come at this from a person who is now at O2 Fitness. I've been going to O2 Fitness now since the summer. And I mainly signed up because Jacob, my 13-year-old, wanted those gains.
Okay.
He's now in bantam in hockey, which
Oh.
means they're checking. He's not exactly a big guy, so he wants to get a little swole up, work on his upper body so he can absorb some hits, maybe even dish out some hits. So he's been hitting the gym. And I was kind of like, oh man, are they going to want to deal with a 13-year-old at the gym? No, they loved it. So we're at the Seaboard station and we've been going up. Now they know who Jacob is. When he shows like, Jacob, hey man, what are you going to be working on today? Do you want to work with a physical trainer? We have one available today. Super, super nice, super, super helpful, very welcoming, because take it from somebody who is intimidated by gyms.
It can be a lot.
It can be a lot. It can be a lot. I am not a gym person. I never have been a gym person. But in going with Jacob, I'm like, well, I'm here, so I might as well get on that elliptical. I might as well.
It's good for the knees.
Might as well get on that arc trainer. Might as well check out some weights.
Arc is the one that goes
a little higher. That one goes a little higher. The elliptical is like,
yeah,
like
the elliptical's nice.
Very nice.
On the knees.
On the knees. The arc, you lift the knees up a little bit more on that one. Your thighs will burn after that bad boy.
I don't need no burning. I burn enough.
That's fair enough. So by next summer on that arc trainer, I'm going to wear the shortest shorts possible.
Oh,
skies out, thighs out, baby. So here's the thing. And I say this as y'all by now, if you've listened to the podcast, know we're very, very genuine when we come to these things. I was intimidated at first. Now I roll in. It's super chill. It's incredibly nice staff. Very welcoming.
No one's like asking you, how much do you bench, bro?
No.
When you get there?
I don't walk in there and nobody goes,
you get your talcum powder?
Somebody's been skipping leg day. I don't get any of that stuff.
Okay.
None of that stuff. Super, super friendly. Super, super helpful. And again, when they say more than a gym, it's exactly that. I know you're curious about the physical therapy aspect of it because your neck is always busted.
Yeah, there's going to be some testimonials happening. Seaboard. Yes.
So big thanks to O2 Fitness for jumping on board as a corporate champion. Let's hear it one more time.
O2 Fitness, so much more than a gym.
And thanks to Bud, our guy,
yes,
for coming up. He's the brains behind Inovana and now O2 Fitness.
Well, he's the jingle king. Speaking of jingles, I said it was going to be a very jingle heavy ad break.
Your button management today.
My button management is terrible
sound
today.
Like me.
Let's try this again. There we go.
Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hill.
So I need O2 Fitness to burn off all the French fries that I ate in Pennsylvania, and then it's officially smoothie week.
Clean it out.
And now it's smoothie week at Happy and Hale. So that way I can clean it all out. The green smoothies, money. Almond Brothers is also very good too.
Oats City.
Yes, that's a good one as well. But the thing about Happy and Hale, you're thinking, oh, it's that salad joint, right? No, it's not. Think of it as a wholesome, clean eating joint with really great meat selection.
I was going to say,
great vegetables. The proteins are off the charts. The burger bowl.
Chicken, steaks, the burger bowl now, the new addition. So good.
All fantastic. So check them out. Happy and Hale. Download the app to make things easy for you when you're picking up and on the go. Also, big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. You can check them out at bugsbite.com. You can bundle and save with Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Mosquito Authority for the outside of your house. Pest Authority for the inside of your house. You'll bundle and save. And I love seeing the signs around the neighborhood because you know my stance on this. We will take credit for any sign that I see.
It's all us.
It's all us. It is all us, folks. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Hotline, he is the beat writer for the Charlotte Observer covering the Carolina Panthers. He is Mike Kaye.
That's a badge right there, man.
It really is, man. You have done some tours of duty covering this team already, man.
I feel like I've lived through a lot. Like I can't tell. Like I read this the other day. Last year feels like a decade ago, but like in a way that you look back on something and you're like, wow, I am better off on the other side of that. You know what I mean? Like,
hey man, the only way out is through, Mike. The only way out is through.
I feel like it's like, you know, like kids when they have an accident at school and then maybe it becomes like their reputation for 2 years. Like, like 6 or 7 year olds who have an accident, and then like by the time they're 17, they're like, man, I just shake. Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack your segment.
No. Look, I still distinctly remember, in elementary school, you remember the kid who stunk. You know what I mean? Like, that's just what it is. And that you get labeled like that. And maybe that's where the Panthers are. They're just kind of labeled as this franchise with no real direction, an owner who is meddlesome. But deep down, maybe you can find some positive vibes when it comes to the Panthers. And I feel like,
man, handsome Dave Canales certainly can.
He's Mr. Positive.
Wow.
And I'm trying not to get overreactive to what we saw and what you reported on in regards to these joint practices, specifically the one against the Jets where he looked great. And then, of course, the one series that they had in the final preseason game where it looked different for Bryce Young and the offense. Injuries aside, it looked different. Is that off base from what you've seen so far?
No, I mean, I think we're starting to see like the scheme marry with like the production, if that makes sense. Like everything you saw in that series, that preseason drive, is what we saw in like the 10 days leading up to that. Like, I call him Bama Bryce, but like he was improvising. He was throwing the ball deep. He was throwing really accurately to his left, especially on the run. Like in general, I think it's starting to click for him. He seems extremely confident in this offense. And I think, Dave Canales, to his credit, has enabled him.
I'd say the positive vibes only because the locker room clip that we got from Canales after winning the Bills game, like sometimes I can call out the Russell Wilson toxic positivity. That doesn't seem like the case. Like this guy seems like fairly like legit and genuine with this stuff. Am I off base? Has that been your takeaway from your first camp with him?
Yeah, I came into training camp extremely skeptical of that because I had covered Gus Bradley, who is a very comparable personality. And when things went awry, they really went awry. And so I'm always kind of weary of that stuff, or wary, excuse me. I'm a writer.
Well, you could be tired of it too if you had to cover it for Gus Bradley in Jacksonville.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, that too. But actually, side note, I got called out for having a typo. I meant to write wary, and I wrote weary because I was using Google Docs initially to write it, and it gave me like a blue, and I was like, all right, whatever. Anyway,
yeah.
Somebody should have caught it. Anyway, that's not the point. I take mistakes very personally. What were we talking about again? Oh, right. So Dave Canales.
Basically, what you are providing the antithesis to Dave Canales' positivity by being, beating yourself up, your own worst critic, right?
I thought the clip that stood out to me that, he seemed genuinely excited that they won a preseason game.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, okay, but maybe this isn't a front. Maybe this is who the guy really is. And this is how he's trying to, coach him up, love him up. I think I think Tua Tagovailoa has given away the game now, right? Like you can't be a dick anymore. Like you got to be nice. Like these guys don't want to be yelled at and screamed at and treated like assholes anymore. They want to be like treated like adults. So good for this generation, right?
Yeah, I mean it's very Gen Z. There's no question about it. But I think that's important. You want somebody who can connect with the young players because that's who you're developing. This is a rebuild or a retooling or whatever Dan Morgan wants to call it. And while they are technically one of the older teams in the league because they have quite a few guys who are in their 30s, the base of this team is very young and they've got to start developing young guys. I think the energy sometimes kind of borders on camp counselor of the month, but I think but to your point, I think it's very genuine. And I think players in my experience can tell when somebody is not genuine or doesn't have the juice or is a different person every day. He's very consistent. It's something that was brought up about Jordan Matthews. Tommy Tremble said, if you do something once or twice, maybe somebody thinks you're kind of weird, But if you do it every day consistently, it becomes an inspiration. It becomes, oh, okay, this is how this guy is wired. And I think you can say that about Dave Canales.
Mike Kaye from the Charlotte Observer is joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. You know, you can sell your car to Heister, Joe.
You can sell them. You can buy them. You can do all kinds of good things. HeisterAuto.com.
My 16-year-old will be getting a car from Heister very, very soon once he gets his driving hours. I was listening to Processing Blue, the podcast you do for the Charlotte Observer, on my drive in today. And you and Alex spent a good chunk of time talking about the tight ends. And it's just one of those things we've been so focused on. Is the offensive line healthy? What's up with Xavier Leggett? All the skill position players, all right, are they healthy? Is it fine? I feel like it's been kind of a buried story that the tight ends seem to be in kind of disrepair right now. What is the latest on who's going to be available for week 1 at tight end? Well,
I mean, there's a couple of pretty big soft tissue injuries to monitor. Ian Thomas's calf injury, I do not expect him to play this week. I think Tommy Tremble's probably a 50-50 deal with his hamstring injury. So he was out for most of training camp with a hamstring injury. And then the last week at camp, he caught a screen pass and churned up field, and you could see him like kind of pull up. And so the theory was that he had a setback. Not just a theory. It actually happened. That's why he did not play against the Patriots. The Bills. So, they're kind of monitoring that. And as you guys know, covering sports, as long as you have hamstring injuries, they're kind of like a cruel game to play because you never know when that can be re-aggravated. And Tommy Tremble's a guy they're hoping they can get a lot out of. And so I think they're going to be cautious with him. Obviously, they have Jordan Matthews, who can be a productive pass catcher in the league, especially across the middle. And then Jatavian Sanders has really exceeded expectations from a blocking standpoint, which I think is really important to note. As I reported yesterday, they're planning on bringing in a tight end who was undrafted from the Green Bay Packers, Messiah Swinson. He's probably insurance in case those guys can't play.
The offense is going to run through Chuba Hubbard?
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet, especially in week 1. When you look at how poor the Saints were at stopping the run last year and how effectively one-dimensional their offense became when Derek Carr had to drop back, I think this is going to be a close game. I think you're going to see Chuba Hubbard eat. Here's the thing. You guys know I'm big on front office quirks and all that stuff and salary cap. When you have a guy who is a 4th-year running back, who's been a backup for 3 years, who is on the end of his rookie deal, you as a franchise should run that guy into the ground completely. And that guy should say, yes, I'll have some more, because the only way he is going to get paid is if he has exponential numbers. And so I think this is an audition for Chuba Hubbard to get a big deal, probably elsewhere. And if you're the Panthers, Jonathan Brooks is the future. Why rush him back? And so I think Chuba Hubbard has ran the ball really well in training camp. He's become a leader in the locker room. His work ethic is on par with pretty much anybody in there. And I think you're going to see that as long as he can stay healthy, he is going to be the motor.
Stay healthy being the key word. I don't know. I'm trying to keep it positive for the Panthers. And I know there was a lot of screaming throughout the entirety of preseason about why won't they play the starters in these preseason games. And the impression that I always got was, well, they would if they could. I think they're just monitoring all these situations. And this is kind of I feel like this is 2 or 3 years in a row now where the Panthers don't seem like they're getting a crack at this fully healthy. And I get that injuries are all across the league, but I just feel like the Panthers really are so thin that you might see some positive momentum for the team, but it's a razor thin margin when it comes to their depth going into the year.
Well, I think that happens when you're not very talented, right? Like the margin for error is so small for them. I think they have a solid 24 starters, right?
Yeah.
22 starters. But I think once you go beyond that, there's maybe 3-4 positions that actually have relatively okay depth. And so I think that's a problem for them. You look at pass rusher, if Jadeveon Clowney goes down, what happens? If JC Horn goes down, yikes. When. Right, exactly. And that's like the thing is like the cornerback room is pretty average if you have JC Horn for 17 games. The problem is that history shows you that he's going to probably miss 4 to 5 games at the least. So it's tough because when you're fill-in level starter at the number 2 spot becomes your number 1, and he's covering the likes of Drake London and Chris Olave and Mike Evans, that's a problem.
I'm trying to find a way to put this, because you weren't covering the Panthers while the Carolina Hurricanes, the hockey team, was going through their 10-year playoff drought. And during that time, there almost became like a Stockholm syndrome with the players that they had who were okay, but they weren't excellent. To your point about the Panthers and a level of talent, they had some talent, but overall it wasn't the most talented group. I mean, the results are what they are. But when they moved on from a player, people would freak out. Like, how could you get rid of this guy? I'm like, well, y'all, it's been 10 years without the playoffs. That's kind of the reason why they've moved on from this.
Got to switch it up a little bit.
And I feel like this kind of happens with preseason and the wide receiver group being the main one. I thought it was interesting that Terrace Marshall, who was cut, didn't make the 53-man roster, including you.
I waited for your tweet, man.
Even you were like, man, he had a really, really good camp. And I had 2 initial thoughts from this. The first one was, man, I think we've hit the point with the Panthers where we're trying to convince ourselves that guys who really haven't produced in the regular season are somehow going to turn it around because we saw a pretty good camp. Or what we were seeing at a camp was an opportunity to try to move Terrace Marshall, try to get something in return, but there were no buyers from him. So what really happened there with Marshall?
So Terrace has been passed over by several coaching staffs. One of the main reasons is special teams. If you are a 4th or 5th wide receiver, you have to play special teams. He has been upgraded over the last two off seasons by Jonathan Mingo and Xavier Legette as far as pecking order goes. He was never going to be higher than 4th. He did have a great camp offensively, but when you are a one-dimensional wide receiver who doesn't play special teams, you're not going to appeal. And I think this team is putting an emphasis on special teams. Do I think he should be on a 53-man roster? Sure. But again, where is he going to, to your detriment on special teams? You're going to put him as your 4th wide receiver, and then you're probably going to have to, stash another guy in your 53 to make up for his indifference on special teams. To me, that's a tough pill to swallow. And I think that's why you saw the league kind of pass on him. I also think, and I've written this before, he had a tremendous training camp. He really did. He had a very, very good training camp. But there's also 3 years of film and evidence to show you that maybe that's not real. The difference between this training camp and last year's training camp is last year he thrived without pads on. This year, and then he completely disappeared. This year, they put on pads. He took a little bit to get going, but then he actually had a really good summer. And I think it's a little too late in the game to be like, yeah, I'm going to pay that guy $2.3 million in the final year of his rookie deal when he can't play special teams and he's no better than 4th on the depth chart. I think that's a valid way to look at it. I also think, what does it say about his value if a team that had only one productive wide receiver last year is willing to cut him right away? You know what I mean? So I think they were kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. I thought they could move him maybe for another player, maybe another team's 53rd player at a position of need. But ultimately, when you own the number 1 pick in the waiver wire, you don't really need to make those type of trades.
We'll close on this. Anybody I know Dan Morgan, the GM, was very open about the fact that they were going to be very aggressive in the waiver wire. Was there anybody that they picked up that fans should keep an eye on of, hey, you know what, this actually might be somebody productive that was somebody else didn't want? They took them, they can use them.
Well, I think the new sheriff in town, Jamie Sheriff, a guy they got from an HBCU who wasn't in Seahawks training camp until the middle of the summer, He was actually delivering beer, and then had 3 sacks in the preseason. He's somebody who kind of is interesting, especially because they just cut Caleb on Chase on, and now they have 4 pass rushers. 3 of them have 0 career regular season, sacks. So, it's not like DJ Johnson or Ikuliota really separated themselves in that competition for the number 2 spot. And you're going to use DJ Johnson as an early down run stopper. So if Jamie Sheriff can kind of take advantage of this and run with it, I think that's kind of interesting. The other guy I would bring up is Keenan Isaac, the cornerback from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that they got, who Dave Canales got to see up close and personal. He's got incredible length, and that's what you want to develop because you can't teach it, right? And I think that's important. John Reddington, the guy they got from Seattle, who's a special teams ace, I think that was a good sign for culture, giving the special teams coordinator his guy. He's making quite a bit of money. I'm expecting them to rework his contract because he got a right of first refusal restricted tender that he was claimed on. So we'll see how that goes. But I actually think they got some quality pieces from the waiver wire. I'm not a very optimistic guy when it comes to the waiver wire. I just think it's kind of but they did what I think you normally do. You get special teams depth and you get low end defensive depth at positions of need. And so that's basically what they did.
Mike Kaye, Charlotte Observer, Processing Blues, the podcast. Hey man, we appreciate the time as always. Hopefully you got more than 2 wins to write about this upcoming season.
That would be really nice. When are you guys going to start saying the White Sox should move to Raleigh?
Is that a thing?
No, it's not a thing because Major League Baseball wants that sweet, sweet expansion money. They want that expansion fee. That's why they're never going to move. That's why.
No, but I think if they have the worst record ever, they should have to move. John Cusack's the only person that cares about having 2 baseball teams in Chicago.
I did not believe the picture that I saw floating around where the
800 people.
They said 17.
No, there have been under 100 people reported at these games.
Under 100 people at these baseball games. Under 100. That's insane to me. Wow.
I had more people at my bar mitzvah.
About that.
Let's be honest. It's wild.
Well, think about that. We had almost 400 people pay $60 to come watch us do a podcast. And they can't get 50 people to show up to watch a baseball game. It's pretty.
I think that speaks more to your guys' talent than
maybe.
Hey, positive vibes only. I'm trying to just get with it.
All right, man.
All right, see you guys.
Talk to you later.
Can I just ask again that once you get the new jacket that has the Maryland in the logo, that you add the Maryland to our logo, it just makes it look better. Our ACC logo that just played during the break.
I know that, but they're no longer in the league.
I know, but it's like an homage.
You don't really talk about Maryland.
It's an homage.
But if we do a coach's jacket, I'll consider bringing them.
Okay,
into
thank
the
you.
mix. I will consider bringing them into the
Thank
mix.
you. No other crazy states, but I would like to see
that's fine.
Maryland back.
Big thanks to Breeze Through. Check them out, breezethrough.com. Download the app, save money on gas and all those other kinds of goodies. We put out a podcast festival recap video.
Oh, nice.
And Dimitri, who put it together, was very, very on point by putting in Adam and Spencer's moment with the chicken tenders and his shot at another gas station chain.
Yeah.
Put that in there. And the crowd reaction, I'm in the moment, I remember the crowd reaction being great. Hearing it back in the video was hilarious to me. So we're talking gas station food, folks. So look out for the Oak City Grill. And with tailgating at NC State, if you don't have a spot, no big deal. You can park at the Breeze Through, first come, first serve, get fed by Oak City Grill, and go into the game happy.
Heck, get your beverages while you're there.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Dark roast coffee, wake you up.
Yeah, I might be eating some of that today. Big thanks to Whitaker and Hamer. Check them out online at wh.lawyer. Whitaker and Hamer, attorneys and counselors at law. Do you have a grant of rights agreement? I'm sure they can. If you don't have one, I'm sure they can work on one for you.
I've got one for tonight's Joe Wagon draft. I'm protecting my assets in this draft tonight.
Oh,
so
that's right.
I've already consulted with Josh.
Good for you.
I'm ready.
That's the kind of legal services you'll get at Whitaker and Hamer. So check them out, wh.lawyer. Also, thanks to Hometown Realty, myhtr.com. It's not that we're trying to bag on the idea of a guaranteed offer. We're just simply pointing out to you that with those guaranteed offers, you're leaving money on the table, especially in this market. As quickly as homes are going, as more and more people move to the area, They're just trying to flip you.
I mean, I'm kind of sort of bagging on it because I want people to make the most of their number one asset, which is their home.
Which is where Hometown Realty comes into play. So check them out online at myhtr.com and don't leave money on the table, folks. So I was going through my email and I'm like signed up for a bazillion different newsletters, and including emails for newsletters that I have since canceled. Don't cancel OG fans. That's the newsletter you want to sign up for and pay. Just saying. It's way more valuable.
Let's tread carefully here.
I'm
please.
just saying. Not all newsletters are worth your money.
Okay.
Okay. Ours is.
Just be careful.
Ours is.
Don't shit where you eat.
Where you get words and words and words on the ACC versus the SEC. So the Athletic, they have the little athletic pulse or whatever, and they sent out a thing that they called the Hope-O-meter for this upcoming NFL season. Before I pull it up on YouTube, we just got done talking to Mike Kaye from the Charlotte Observer. Where do you think Panthers fans are on this Athletic Hope-O-meter survey?
I think I can name 3 teams with less hope than the Panthers.
All right, let's see if you can do it.
You got the Giants, you've got the Vikings, and I want to say the Raiders, but I could be wrong. But those are the 3 that off the top of my head I would say, yeah, I would rather have my franchise quarterback in place and have a new coach and a new GM and be ahead of where the Giants, the Vikings, and the Raiders are right now.
So looking at the Athletics Hope-O-meter has followers, how followers of the Athletic feel about their team's chances in 2024. We scroll, and dead last with maximum pessimism is the New Orleans Saints, followed by the Giants, followed by the Dallas Cowboys.
What?
Then New England, then Cleveland, and then you finally get to the Carolina Panthers.
This is their own fans?
This is their own
survey
of their fans.
Okay.
Yes, their own survey
the
of
Cowboys?
fans.
No. I thought we them boys were in this we them boys cycle.
I told you. So they're 62% pessimistic. I told you when it comes to the Cowboys. What did I tell you that Jerry Jones was making his fans do this offseason?
Speed run.
They were doing a speed run of the Dallas Cowboys, we them boys cycle. You sent me that meme earlier in the summer. Like, here's the classic Dallas Cowboys, fan optimism. We them boys to back to we them boys. They've already done it. They're already at the most pessimistic part of the season because of the way Jerry Jones has been handling the offseason.
But CD's back.
But they haven't even signed Dak Prescott yet, which I guess could happen this week. Knowing our luck, the way these things have been going,
it'll happen right now.
It'll happen right when I hit publish on the podcast, because that's always what happens with some NFL news on this podcast. It's fine. It's whatever. We're not a Dallas Cowboys podcast, so it is what it is. But yeah, look, the Panthers not being the most pessimistic fan base, I think, is a direct correlation to what you talked about with Mike and Dave Canales.
Yeah.
He's an incredibly positive guy. I think that people see, as we get further away from last year, that was more about Frank Reich than it was necessarily about Bryce Young, and kind of just stripping it down to its bare essence and seeing if they can get something out of Bryce this year. And that's where the optimism comes in. What I don't understand.
Well, this is their own fans, though. So I get, yes, Giants fans by nature, yes.
Oh, yeah.
The Patriots should be even lower. Cleveland, though, was Joe Flacco?
No, it's Deshaun Watson.
Was it that big?
My guy Eddie Golden over at
because Cleveland was good last year, but you're saying it was because of Flacco just slinging that thing.
Yeah. And they're down on Deshaun Watson. I mean, they can't even they can't even keep a backup. The reason why Joe Flacco's
and Jay Boo is their
Yeah. And it's not like Deshaun. Basically, every report that comes out of Cleveland is that Deshaun Watson's not going to handle a decent backup quarterback because people are thirsty for the backup quarterback. And his feelings need to be accounted for. I mean, the only reason why I know any of this stuff from Cleveland is because
you got people in Cleveland.
I follow Goldie on social media, and I'm seeing all these Cleveland clips all the time because I've done some national radio with Goldie in the past. So I'm kind of like, man, you guys are they're really down on Deshaun Watson, and they have every right to be.
Yeah, he hasn't been good since the laissez-faire massage.
Yes. So once we get over into, I see where Minnesota is slightly pessimistic because JJ McCarthy got hurt and all that kind of stuff. Pittsburgh, I mean, I get it because they're probably over the bad quarterback play and their anemic offense and everything else. Here's the part that I'm confused by. You are not real Jets fans. Jets fans are optimistic at 73%. For what? Are you on that ayahuasca?
Yeah, last year should have broken them, but that's what being a fan is about.
But Jets fans, part of being a Jets fan is you being ridiculous and being incredibly pessimistic about your team, for heaven's sake. I always called Gold a fake Jets fan because he was always coming at it from a rational perspective. I'm like, dude, you're not a real Jets fan.
Yeah.
Real Jets fans are constantly finding ways to cook up the most ridiculous thing.
I found your thing.
So the Dolphins, yeah, here are the Jets. Okay. Optimistic, these are from actual Jets fans. Optimistic Kevin. The Jets have let me down more than most pallbearers. Wow. This roster on paper looks like a lock for a 10-plus win season, but my God, they are still the New York Jets, and that terrifies me. And that sounds like a Jets fan. See, this is optimistic Q. Jets' life is a life of pain, and without hope, there can be no pain. So we dream once again.
Yeah.
So maybe
that kills you.
Maybe I'm misreading the Jets fandom on that one. The Dolphins are optimistic at 73.5%. And then the most optimistic team, or at least the most optimistic fan base.
They should feel good.
As I scroll through all these ads, my goodness. Of course, I can't knock it because we have a lot of ads too. Let's see. You have
in the newsletter?
Not in the newsletter, though.
Okay.
Yet. Detroit Lions, 98.8%. That's all because of my boy, Dan Campbell.
Bite them kneecaps.
Detroit actually optimistic about something?
I love it.
The weather must be nice up in Detroit right now. That's why. That has to be what it is.
Wait, before you stop sharing and I'll pull up the world's greatest meme. Because it really is.
About the Jets.
No, about
or about the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, you can't really see it.
You can scroll. You could use the zoomy.
I'm already
thing.
zoomed.
All right, hold on. Let me look then.
So season starts, beat up on bad teams, fans get delusional. We them boys. This is our year. Choking the playoffs. And the season starts. The cycle goes again.
So right now it's choking the playoffs. Right now it's choking the preseason.
Right.
That's where it is with the Cowboys
we're
right now.
Normally we're at we them boys. This is our year. Right? Like, man, I'm having a hard time with this, guys. Come on.
All right. Let's I have a question for you.
Yes.
In the Gambling Syndicate. A quick question for the OG Gambling Syndicate, Joe. The Chiefs or the AFC field?
I mean, I think you have to bet on the Chiefs at this point. Right?
Do you, though?
I feel like you have to.
I feel like you're at a point now with the Chiefs where you're like, I'm going to be right eventually, so I'm going to keep betting against the Chiefs. I just feel like that's something you would do.
I have a Dolphins ticket. The Dolphins are my official pick to win the Super Bowl this year.
Why are you betting on that high-performance sports car that's going to leak oil the minute it hits a speed bump?
This would be a good time to review. I had the Rams the year that they won.
Yeah.
I've had the Niners the last 2 years.
Yeah.
We know how that turned out.
Yeah.
And now this year I have the Dolphins. So though I have hedged with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I can't wait for this to come home because it'll be the end of OG Media. Just telling you right now. You ready for this? I have a 4-team $25 parlay. Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, the Orioles to win the World Series, Georgia Bulldogs to win the national championship, and the Edmonton Oilers to win the Stanley Cup. That $25 would pay out $48,000. 48 G's.
And because you didn't use OG Media LLC money, we can't split it.
Correct.
Damn it.
Correct.
Damn it.
I mean, the two ones that you would think not come home are the Orioles and the Oilers.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
now, now correct me if I'm wrong with our friend Josh Graham over at WSJS.
Yes.
Because you bet on the Orioles, is he going to ask you to cash out your bet and he'll pay you
I'll take
the
that.
difference?
I'll take that. But
okay.
I also have this. I have the Chiefs, Georgia, and the Phillies to win the World Series. That payout's only $3,700. So there would still be an OG Media, but it just,
okay.
I would then have a bunch of money to lose. In golf again.
Okay. One other gambling thing. I was going to bring it up.
I love these parlays, though, man.
Oh,
why not?
Dude, I love the parlays as well. You know me, I'm all about that $5 gang. And it's really easy to do on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Just download the app today. Use the promo code OG24 And if you are a first-time customer, a new sign-up for DraftKings, what are you waiting for? Right now is an amazing time to get on. If you bet $5, you will get $250 in bonus bets.
We're back to 250.
Back to 250 ahead of the football season. And
actually, that's more than the original.
Not only are you getting $250 in bonus bets if you bet $5, you'll get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium on DraftKings. And you know how I feel about these bonus bets. Why not? Right? Yeah. Like to me, the bonus bets were sure.
That was NC State hoops.
I did that with the Carolina Hurricanes. Of course, that didn't really work out for me, but it is what it is. But it's not that big of a deal. Are there any like White Sox bets I can put in here? Like, can I do a thing about more than 25 people will show up?
I'm going to go through my list of White Sox bets this year and compare it to the number of games they actually won. I'm telling you, I've bet against them 8 of the times in their 30 wins this year. Easy.
So are you a quarters, halves, first of game? I
love quarters in the NFL. I do love quarters because you can bet on a good coach with a good script. Shanahan, McVay, McDaniel. I love a first quarter bet in the NFL. The NFL is really hard, man. Like you can hit on some college basketball and some college football because of the number of teams.
Yeah.
The NFL, you are a sharp if you win in the NFL. Full game is really hard. So that's why you're better off with some of those individual props, first quarter, first half, in-game, live game. Hey, if your team's down big at a half, they're probably going to rally. There's not that many blowouts in the NFL.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the to make the playoffs.
Well, I got one of those.
In the futures, right?
Yeah.
And we were looking at optimism.
Yeah.
Okay. The Panthers actually are not that bad. The Panthers to make the playoffs is plus 550. To not make the playoffs is minus 900.
I think I already know the answer to who's going to ruin this for me, though.
Yeah.
And I actually put $100 on this.
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs, Niners, Miami, Chargers, Harbaugh.
Okay.
And the Steelers. I have a 5-team parlay to make the playoffs.
Is it insane for me to put $5 down on the Panthers winning the NFC South?
It's
plus 1,100.
I was like, your return is not that great.
It's plus 1,100
to win the division.
Are
you sure?
Yeah, dude, I'm looking at that right now.
Okay,
plus 1,100.
Those are great numbers.
For the Panthers to win the division. So I might just do it. Put $5 down because it's all about the $5 gang. So that's what you can do. Bet $5, you get $250 in bonus bets and get 1 month of NFL Premium on DraftKings. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. The additional NFL Premium offer is available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at NFL.com/terms. So go ahead, go use that promo code OG24 today.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/FTBall.
Big thanks to Home Field Apparel. Check them out online, homefieldapparel.com. Use the promo code OG24 to save 15% off your order. In that recap for the Sports Podcast Festival, where the Home Field folks did a wonderful job with the setup and the hoodie, we saw a couple of people who attended who had purchased the hoodie, and they held them up like, this is the most comfortable hoodie ever. Don't sleep on the Home Field hoodies. I know this morning is that false fall here in North Carolina, but it puts you in that mindset to get the hoodies.
64 driving into the beautiful Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh today.
Beautiful stuff.
I felt good.
So save 15% off your order.
I think you got one right there, or did you give it away?
No, that was the one for Wes that I got to mail to him.
Okay.
So I got that. And then here's the other thing. We're talking about the hoodies.
Are we not going to see Wes?
At some point, we'll see Wes.
Shipping's like out the nose right now.
It's fine, dude. It's fine.
Okay.
The coaches.
We saw him last week.
The coaches' jackets.
Yeah, we need some. I want the Iowa one. I think I've landed on the Iowa one.
Okay.
That's the one I want.
All right. That one will actually...
we really need to hook our guy up. Adam, Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can get one too.
Yeah.
Use the promo code OG24. Make that thing happen. We are in football season, which means we are in tailgate time, which means it's time for you to stop messing around and get the real meats. Go to the butcher's markets get that signature steak tip. You can also put the chicken on. I know Joe's all about those hot dogs. The burgers are fantastic. Anything that you need to grill, they have it at the Butcher's Market. So if you want to win your tailgate, you go to the Butcher's Market today and get all the stuff you need, right down to the charcoal, right down to the wood that you used to smoke, right down to the seasoning. They got it all there.
I was going to say, I have a onion powder, garlic powder, salt, pepper.
Yeah.
In the jar.
Yeah.
I bought it at the beginning of the spring. I'm going to have that forever. It's delicious. I put it on everything. It's amazing.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Big thanks to Two Roosters. I know some people might want to have ice cream while they're at the tailgate.
Hey,
there's a way to do it.
You know what you can't have? The peanut butter cookie.
Unless we ask nicely.
No, Jared even confirmed. He texted me. He said, "No, really,
it's gone.
We're sold out.
It's done."
Ken texted me the pictures from the locations that says sold out, and I said, "Oh, I am Gozar, the keymaster of the. I have the last 2 gallons of peanut butter cookie on this planet." So
I love it.
Yes,
I love it.
Yes, all those O2 fitness trips will go for naught. but I will be in heaven.
Perfect.
Just in heaven, and we still got to work on the mint fudge brownie.
Okay,
because I think that's going to be my new love.
Yeah,
in September.
Yeah,
meet me in September. I mean, we're going to see what happens, but check them out. The Two Roosters, they have the best ice cream there is. I've seen a lot of ice cream ads on my social feeds, and I feel bad for their competition.
It's not Two Roosters.
No, I honestly feel bad for their competition because they're that good.
It's good
they're
stuff.
that good.
It's good stuff. Also good stuff. You can make it a whole date night out of it. Go to Longleaf Swine in downtown Raleigh.
Good call.
Load up on all the goodies. And it goes beyond barbecue. Yeah. Is their brisket excellent? Excellent. Is their barbecue excellent? Yes. But the fried okra, which I turned you on to. You did. I've been telling people I've been evangelical about the burgers, the smash burgers, best smash burger in town.
We're slowly getting Adam to add that as a permanent menu item.
I believe
we're working there.
I believe we're there.
Okay,
I believe the smash burger will be a permanent lunch item now too.
See, we can help your business,
lunch and dinner.
Like we could tell you, what do people like? Well,
they like this.
Hey man, here's the feedback.
So check out longleafswine.com. They can even cater. I know that one of our listeners went in and started to ask about a big catering order. They can do that for you as well. They do all this great stuff. Check them out online at longleafswine.com.
I just noticed that Zeus was wearing a bra. I mean, like every time I see that thing, something else comes up, and I'm like, oh, okay.
The Zeus gets funnier and funnier every time that I see it. It's the best. One carryover from us talking about DraftKings. You're on that U.S. Open life, are you not?
Listen, don't tease me. Okay, I've had Tiafoe.
You know me, I'm not a tennis guy.
I've had Tiafoe for like 3 years in a row. I was just beaten down by Wimbledon, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Here he is in the semifinals. But I know how this ends. A random Russian or the fake Italian sinner is going to end up beating him. I hate it. But yes, I've been burned before.
Why do you keep doing this?
I mean, you think NFL division winner odds are great. Okay. Tennis odds, man, especially with Alcaraz and Djokovic. You can get real value in tennis.
All right, that's
it's got to hit, of course.
Okay, that's fair.
That's the flip side of it. It's got to hit.
Fair. Speaking of the U.S. Open.
The lightning round.
A lot of people can't see the U.S. Open because DirecTV and Disney, ESPN, are currently in a carriage dispute. So I've seen a lot of people complaining about that kind of stuff. I referenced it yesterday when making fun of SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey
not knowing who his partners are,
promoting his broadcast partner's streaming service, Hulu. Instead, he shouted out YouTube TV. Okay, whatever. Hey, at least it has the Disney channels, which is what matters. But Greg Sankey kind of backed his way into a point, right? In that, I've seen this on my timeline a lot, and I'll probably explore this a little bit more with Dimitri on OG Fans when we do an OG on Business next week. And the carriage fights are wholly different from where they were 10 years ago. Sure. Hell, even 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more options to watch now, and it's a lot easier to sign up for one of these streaming services if you're a direct TV customer. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is to acknowledge something. And that is that not everybody has access to really good internet. That is something that I always kind of omit when we talk about where things are going in broadcasting.
And man, if there's not a bigger first world problem than being somewhere and your internet or phone doesn't work. I mean, I'm 50. Let's just say it. I'm not there yet, but I'm 50. You should see me when my phone doesn't work. I'm sitting here like, what the hell did I used to do?
So
you're like at the DMV or you're somewhere waiting in line and like your phone doesn't work. Like you are like legitimately like, I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to do with my hands?
You know what's funny about
I don't
that?
know. Listen to the fucking radio? No. God damn. What am I supposed to be doing right now?
Listen to the radio and hear the same classic rock station that's in every city in America.
97X. Bang. The future of rock and roll.
It's a double shot Tuesday.
Or there was a Led Zeppelin 3-pack the other day, and the guy came on. He's like, all right, we've got the first 2 songs. Can you guess the third right after this?
Oh, what, on Billy Joel? Oh, bang. Billy Joel rock block?
Led Zeppelin.
Oh, Led Zeppelin rock block? Yeah, come on. We're talking about, we're going to play A Whole Lot of Love. We're going to play
Black Dog.
Yeah, and we're going to play, what's the one with
Full
Valhalla?
Rain?
No. Ooh.
Do.
Dancing Days?
Ooh. Also going, although I do think the STP version's better.
I don't know. I'm not so sure about that.
And I could bang a little bit, man. I liked him.
And what's the first? I can't. Now it's gonna drive me insane.
You know the names of their songs are weird. So.
Yeah, I know that, and it's bothering me that I'm forgetting the name of the first song on. This is the first song on our new album.
Cheap Trick.
Yeah, no, that's not it. Cheap Trick. What are you talking about? That's Beastie Boys. Took me an Immigrant Song. Sorry, I was like, what's the name of the first song off of Led Zeppelin 3? Why am I drawing a blank on this? Anyway, radio tangent.
Our oldest segment in the history of the world right there. Congratulations to us. We've never shown our age more.
To your point, though, because look, I read a book from Steve Hyden. I think I've referenced this before. I can't remember. But Stephen Hyden, who's a rock critic that is around our age. So when he writes about music, it really resonates because he pretty much had the same kind of like source material, watching MTV and classic rock and all that stuff. He wrote a book called Twilight of the Gods, and he had an entire chapter based on why radio stations all across America have this like stuck in amber stasis of rock music. And it's because we're just getting older and we're lazy and we're like, just give me the damn Pink Floyd Comfortably Numb again, please. Thank you.
Play the hits for a reason, man.
Can you play Light My Fire one more time? All right, thanks, man. Appreciate that. But now it's kind of morphed, right? So now you're getting...
Oh, you get Blink 182 at the arena, and people are in their feelings, man.
Very much
They are singing that thing along like it is Stairway to Heaven.
But here's the wild part about it, and I'll shout out 95.3 The Beat, my guy B-Pays. Now that's the new classic rock. They're playing all
Blink and stuff like that.
No, we're talking 90s hip-hop, early 2000s hip-hop. Like, I'm like, what is this little yachty net spend crap? Give me the wholesome stuff. Yes, the thong song. That's what I am here for. Thank you very much. So that's kind of where we're at. That's anyway, we digress. You were making the point about the phone thing, right? And access to the internet and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
What a tangent, right?
That was
so
nice.
much for a lightning round.
No, that is the feature of the lightning round.
I have realized that when my phone goes to LTE,
You're in trouble. You're in trouble.
It used to be when you had an old iPhone 3GS and you had the little E, the Edge network. Okay, fine. It was slow as whatever. Then you were baller status. You got the LTE, which was higher speeds. And then you would go to a remote place and you'd see that E pop up and you're like, Psh, I'm screwed.
History.
I'm not getting any internet here.
That's my downstairs bathroom.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So now with 5G, because right now my phone says that's on Wi-Fi now. Anyway, usually I get like a 5GE or a 5G. I'm like, all right, we're good. The minute that thing gives me full bars LTE, I'm like, well, internet's not going to work. Yeah. How is that possible? I need somebody smarter than me to explain why LTE used to work. And now when I get LTE on my phone, it's like, forget it. You ain't connecting.
I feel like your brother might be able to help you on that front.
He's a rocket scientist. He's not a cell phone tower engineer.
Oh.
There's
our guy
skills.
Aaron Rucker can help you with that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that works. Let's check that out. Anyway, So that's why DirecTV matters. If we could tie it back together.
Sure.
Not everybody has broadband.
Circle it back. The Cowboy cycle. We them boys.
We got a lot to get to.
Topic, stack it up. Giglio, throw back it up. Well, I know what we'll do. A lightning round.
Now, here is one thing that I will ask my brother about, is that apparently the International Space Station started to hear a weird pulsing sound emanating from space.
Okay.
I feel like this is the start of a movie. NASA says a pulsing sound from a speaker in Boeing's Starliner spacecraft heard by NASA astronaut Butch Wilmore aboard the ISS has stopped. The feedback from the speaker was the result of an audio configuration between the space station and the Starliner. The space station audio system is complex, allowing multiple spacecraft modules to be interconnected, and it is common to experience noise and feedback. The crew is asked to contact Mission Control when they hear sounds originating from the comm system. The speaker feedback, Wilmore reported, has no technical impact on the crew, Starliner, or station operations, including Starliner's unscrewed or uncrewed. Sorry, David.
Both.
Sorry, David. That was an unintentional joke because I know they've had some door problems. Uncrewed undocking from the station no earlier than Friday, September 6th. If I remember correctly, it's like they are stuck up in space for like another 80 days, I think. If I'm not mistaken.
That's not good.
But here is I pulled this up on YouTube. This is apparently the pulsing sound that came from the International Space Station. Strange sounds. Here we go.
Houston on 2, got a question about the Starliner.
Houston's with you, Butch. Go ahead.
There's a strange noise coming through the speaker, and I didn't know if you could connect into the Starliner and let me keep mic and let you hear. I don't know what's making it, but I don't know if it's something that maybe is connected between here and there, making that happen. But anyway, can you do that?
We can configure that, Butch. Give us a minute, and I'll call you back when it's ready.
Okay.
Station Houston on 2. We're configured for audio via hardline and CST. If you want to give us a call.
Okay, I'm in Starliner, and how do you read?
5x5. How many?
Yes, sir. Okay, I'm gonna keep the mic up next to the speaker.
Copy.
Hear that?
At negative, Butch. We did not hear anything.
I'm sorry. I want back on Earth the minute I hear that. I've played too many video games. I've watched too many movies. I hear that, and next thing you know, I got Will Smith punching an alien saying, "Welcome to Earth."
Oh,
that's what I hear.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I got
Paxton rallying the troops.
I got, encounters of the third kind swooping down on me, and next thing you know, like an entire crew of World War II pilots emerges from the spaceship because they got several years ago.
You think the aliens just kind of took one look at us and were like, nah.
Yeah, probably.
I don't need any of that.
It's like, what's their problem?
Yeah. Like,
well, look, man, my thoughts on this. We're actually in a simulation anyway.
Mm.
The aliens are actually like, we're Sims for the aliens. And they've decided, it was the aliens who decided, let's just fire these guys on a random ass Wednesday and see what they do.
We're all living in Macumber, the Giants' blue eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like right now, we are what people would do on The Sims, and they would just like box a character in and see how long they would last.
We've done pretty good.
Russ would do that, actually. Russell Love Muscle. We were killing time at 8:50 The Buzz, like, in between Jim Rome breaks or whatever. He would pull up The Sims on the computer, and he was like, all right, let's see what happens if I just box in this guy and go from there. Anyway, I heard that noise. My brother's probably infuriated by this conversation. Sorry, David. Not sorry.
We've got a lot to get to. Woo. It's a lightning round.
You waffle between which one I like better.
Which 90s punk that you enjoy? The Rancid or the Green Day?
My favorite part of it's the lightning round.
Yeah,
is the #1 radio show in the world now has a jingle that is a reggae based on an anonymous mailbag, and I'm like, I mean, technically, you motherfuckers stole that from us. Just so you know,
there are no new ideas in radio.
Just so you know,
there are no new ideas in radio, Joe. Just like the lightning round is not a new idea. One quick thing before we move on to Hey Joe. So Twitter is no longer on in Brazil. I don't know if you've been keeping up with the international news. You're laughing at me, but this is like a real deal.
Twitter's not available in Brazil.
Yeah. So Twitter, like a lot of social media, depending on the country, there's all sorts of laws about, freedom of speech and what you can say and anti-government and all this other kind of stuff, right? And you have to adhere to certain local laws. You know, like that's why Threads, for instance, took a while to go online in the EU because of certain things that Meta, Facebook had to agree to in order to get that go. I'm giving like the most basic, explain like I'm 5. I only know a little about a lot kind of thing, right? But there's this beef between Elon Musk and
everybody,
Brazil in particular, and it all has to do with speech laws.
Okay,
so they wouldn't adhere to these speech laws, so they've completely just taken Twitter offline, and they will arrest you if you try to like VPN into using Twitter. And you're probably asking, all right, Ovies, what the fuck does this have to do with sports?
Yeah.
Well, guess who's playing in Brazil?
Oh, there's a football game, an NFL game.
There's an NFL game in Brazil. How do NFL people communicate with NFL fans?
The Twitters.
Mostly through Twitter. So there is this weird inflection point that's about to happen where the Adam Schefters of the world who rely on your guy, Adam Schefter, who relies on this communication platform that could potentially get arrested if they tweet out like such and such looked really good on that out route. Imagine getting arrested for that. We joke about arresting you for preseason tweets about how, oh my God, that piss missile.
Third string tight end just made the most unbelievable catch.
So can you imagine just tweeting out what a piss missile by this quarterback? The Brazilian officials show up and go, you, sir, are going to the gulag. Why? Because you tweeted out first down. You cannot do that.
Probably don't want to hang out in a Brazilian prison. It's just a thought.
No, no.
Here's Bruce. And I think,
Bruce is fantastic.
come on.
I'm going to blame you for this.
What did I do now?
You told me about apparently Roddy White. Speaking of the NFL, Roddy White tweeted out, Clemson got way too many white dudes on the field on offense. This ain't them. You mean to tell me you only got one black dude out there making plays? That's a recruiting problem. And you're like, Roddy just tweeted out what I've said about some teams in the past. Like, what's different? And what did you say? Didn't Kirk Herbstreit kind of give away the game you said? I missed this.
Okay, so this is Roddy White because the game was in Atlanta. He's paying attention to the game, right? Sure. I've been saying this about Clemson since 2021, just so everyone knows. Okay. Justin Ross is gone. You know, some of these other guys, they're gone. Mike Williams is gone. All these playmakers that they've had. What is the difference? It was more stark last year with the Wolfblood. Will Shipley was then the running back. Sure. Like, I got news for Roddy. It used to be worse. Okay. I mean, and his kids were running around out there and Stiletto is out there. And I'm just like, okay. Now, of course, Dabo would retort, hey, Hunter Renfrow, national championship. Who caught the ball on the game-winning play?
Hunter Renfrow, man. Yeah.
Then after Notre Dame beat Texas A&M, I think it was Herbstreit.
Okay.
And he goes, yeah, Notre Dame just looks different. And I was like,
how do they look different?
Why does Notre Dame with an African-American coach for the first time potentially look different? Maybe because they don't have 4 6'5" white tight ends anymore? Or maybe because their running back runs a 4.2?
Maybe.
Look, man, if I learned anything in the pandemic, like we're allowed to talk about race. Like the people were getting mad at Roddy White. Oh my God, why did he say that? It's like, okay, that's not racist to point out that we have decades of evidence that the black skill players have been better than the white skill players. Like that's why in the NFL, the majority of the players are black.
I hate you for bringing it up. Yeah. Because I went and Googled Roddy White players.
Yeah.
And guess what my hits were on the Google search?
I think it was Fox News,
Outkick,
OAR, maybe.
I think OAN. I think Breitbart showed up too.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like, we can talk about these things because they're realities, but some people cannot handle it. And based on my Google hits.
Oh, you're in trouble now.
Yeah.
Your algorithm might look like mine.
God damn it, Joe. Why'd you do that to me, man? Why did you do that to me? Screwing up my algorithm, man. Big thanks to Roback for sponsoring Ovies and Giglio. Check them out online, roback.com. Use that promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order. You were rocking the Roback yesterday. Love to see that.
Best golf shirts on the market. Go check them out. Roback, RHO back.com. OG20 is that promo code. Save and enjoy.
Big thanks to Matt Davis, State Farm, 919-779-8277. You call, you'll actually speak to a human who's here based locally in Garner. It's an amazing thing. InsureGarner.com, the OGinsurance.com.
Going to see Matt tonight at the draft.
Yeah.
I should probably give him the option of picking the Matt Davis 12 game of the week.
You probably should, yeah.
Even though I've already deemed it to be BYU and SMU.
Fair.
Which includes a team from the Big 12 and a team from the ACC. It's up to you to pick which one's which. But last week I was right on with my North Dakota State Colorado game. So I feel like I'm in a groove picking the Matt Davis 12 game of the week, but I'll give him that option tonight. If you actually just want to save on insurance, though, the best thing to do, give him a call, 919-779-8277.
Big thanks to Nature's Relief. Check them out online, naturesreliefhempstore.com, RELEAF hempstore.com. You got levels to this, man. Levels to this when it comes to Nature's Relief. When I got back from Hershey and I was keyed up and I needed to zonk out, I took that big hitter, the Indica Sativa hybrid, the big hitter, right? But last night I didn't need that.
That's starchy.
I just needed something to take a little, let me put me in my sleepy state. They got nighttime gummies.
They have CBDs too.
CBD.
No psychoactive element.
Yeah, no psychoactive element. CBD, CBN, 15 milligrams of the CBN, 5 milligrams of CBD, and then like another 5 milligrams of another type of CBD. No psychoactive. Chilled me right out. Slept like a baby last night. And I'm here. We haven't had to record the show eight times today.
Nice.
So that's the beauty of Nature's Relief. Check them out, naturesreliefhempstore.com. It's a big win that I haven't done 4 shows in one day because I'm out of practice. All right, let's get out of here on some Hey Joe. A reminder that we have the OG mailbag. The OG mailbag is exclusive to OG fan subscribers. All you got to do is go to ogtrianglemedia.com and you can email us directly at theoggoesdigital@gmail.com and we will answer those questions on the 5th episode of the week called the OG mailbag. In the meantime, Hey Joe, we usually go into the YouTube comments. We look at some of the social media responses and that kind of stuff. And I did enjoy this from Earl on YouTube. My new email signature quote, the guy who makes the work work, philosopher Michael Irvin.
Yeah,
He's
man.
right, though.
Hey.
The way Michael Irvin put that makes a lot of sense. He's the guy who makes the work work. It makes work. I love Michael Irvin, man. From Peanut, saying FSU could outbid Miami for Cam Ward. Bunch of laughy face emojis. I mean, do you don't think Florida State probably was looking at Cam Ward?
Buddy, come on, man.
Come on.
How do you think they got Keon Coleman last year?
They got private equity money,
But
man.
how do you think they got Keon Coleman, the number 1 receiver in the portal last year?
Yeah, that's a good point.
What, they lowballed him and offered him like a condo in downtown Tallahatchie?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
From Scott, FSU conference record since 2017 is 29-29. Throughout the last year's outlier, they are now 21-29. What we're seeing is what modern day Florida State is. They're just the latest example of joining the likes of Miami, UNC.
Whoa.
One of these
Pune.
Whoa. One of these didn't do anything during a run. It's not Miami. Often that they recruit and transfers and obtain their rankings based on who they are or who they have to commit and sign with. I don't think that's too far off base, but I'm looking for more data. From Doug, the stupid coach with the beard. I got to admit, I was multitasking at that point, but you know what got me to go, yeah, Ryan Day. Was when you said, the stupid coach with the beard. I go, oh, yeah, he's clearly dyeing his beard.
Brutal.
Clearly dyeing his
painted.
Beard. From Corey, what will the viewership for future Florida State games be? High, because we like the schadenfreude of watching Florida State. Shout out to Mike DeCourcy, who aggregated me over at the Sporting News as he was making his point about how Florida State has done the speed run of the Dallas Cowboys and Notre Dame in terms of galvanizing everybody to hate them. Also from Curtis, you notice Mark Packer is never on these shows to counter Feinbaum because Packer would rip him a new one. It's potential. Is Giglio doing the podcast in a hospital gown? No, it's a Roback hoodie. Come on now.
Is that yesterday?
Yeah, it's yesterday's. And Giglio, keeping his stash of peanut butter cookie, will be asking people, are you 2 roosters worthy?
Yes, Gene. You are, Gene. I know that.
Love that. All right, that's going to wrap it up. We will see you for an OG Live brought to you by Sleek Fleet tomorrow, 2 o'clock. Ryan McGee, our resident Raleigh, Tennessee man, will join us. It'll be a lot of fun.